Unsurprisingly, most people know very few facts about Bhutan. In fact, lots of experienced travelers aren't even sure where Bhutan is located. Surrounded by the Himalayas, Bhutan is a small country sandwiched between India and Tibet, just east of Nepal and north of Bangladesh. Although state-controlled tours are possible, Bhutan has deliberately remained closed off to protect its old traditions. Despite being an impoverished country, only selective tourism is encouraged. For that, the cost to visit Bhutan is set high, at least $250 per day, perhaps to discourage influence from outside countries. Due to the cost, Bhutan was definitely spared from becoming another stop on the backpacker banana pancake trail in Asia. And I believe that is quite necessary at this point of time. But don't worry, today I am going to show you a glimpse of this beautiful country with some of its amazing facts. With only around 14,800 square miles of territory, Bhutan is roughly half the size of South Carolina. The country is slightly smaller than Switzerland. Much of the terrain is made up of mountainous slopes. Drukyal, the local name for Bhutan, means land of the thunder dragon. This dragon appears on the Bhutanese flag. In 2010, Bhutan became the first country in the world to ban the production and sales of tobacco products. Smoking in public areas is illegal in Bhutan. However, tobacco can be used in private. In 1916, the first king of Bhutan called tobacco the most filthy and noxious herb. Violators are slapped with a harsh fine, the equivalent of over 2 months of their salary. In a push to modernize, the king of Bhutan finally allowed television and internet access into the country just in 1999. Bhutan was among the last countries in the world to adopt television. A few television channels are received from this neighboring country, India. The king of Bhutan warned that misuse of television could corrupt their old traditions. Bhutan has a mandatory national dress code. Men wear traditional knee-length garments and women must wear ankle-length dresses. The colors give away someone's social class and status. The University of Texas at El Paso used Bhutanese architecture style as an influence when designing its campus. Bhutan is the only country in the world to officially measure national happiness. The index is known as GNH, which stands for Gross National Happiness. Rather than placing emphasis on GDP, Bhutan attempts to track the happiness of its population. The United Nations bought into the idea in 2011 and released the World Happiness Report in 2012. The annual report uses Gallup data and ranks countries by factors such as social, health, and environmental wellness rather than just economic concerns. Despite a focus on internal happiness, the Bhutanese government has been accused of numerous human rights violations against the ethnic minorities living there. Many were also forced out of the country or into the refugee camps. The United States accepted 30,870 Bhutanese refugees between the year 2008 and 10. Bhutanese receive free education from the government. A heavy emphasis is placed on Buddhist teachings. Most schools have an English curriculum. Until education reform was passed in the 1990s, only around 30% of males and 10% of females in Bhutan were literate. Inheritance or land, house, and animals are generally passed to the eldest daughter rather than the eldest son. A man often moves into the home of his new wife until he can earn his keep. I'm sure you heard me right. I said keep. Bhutanese are forbidden to marry foreigners. Homosexuality is also forbidden by law. Polygamy is legal in Bhutan, however, the practice is not so common. The national sport of Bhutan is archery. Basketball and cricket are also gaining popularity in Bhutan eventually. The state religion of Bhutan is Vajrayana Buddhism. Vajrayana follows Tantric Buddhist texts. The word Bhutan translates to the land of the thunder dragon. It earned the nickname because of the fierce storms that often roll in from the Himalayas. Bhutan is the first country in the world with specific constitutional obligations on its people to protect the environment. Among its requirements, at least 60% of the nation must remain under forest cover at all times. Thimphu is one of just 2 capital cities in Asia that doesn't have a single traffic signal light. The other is Pyongyang, which is in North Korea. There was such public outcry when local officials installed a single traffic signal that it was quickly removed, and a traffic officer was reassigned to the intersection. At 24,840 feet, Gangkhar is the highest point in Bhutan and the highest unclimbed mountain in the world. Bhutanese manners dictate that you are to refuse the food whenever it's offered to you. The tradition is to say the words Meshu Meshu and cover your mouth with your hands. But yes, you can give in though only after 2 or 3 repeated offers. Amazing, right? Hit a like if you find this little enlightening and bang that subscribe button to join this enlightening family. See you with a new episode of Knowledge on Facts Gear.